Coming up on Kizmet.
And the box started rattling and we all just went, oh, don't worry about it. She goes, no, I don't have anything like that.
Welcome to the Kizmet podcast, where we explore your world of post-divorce reinvention, connection, and your pursuit of passion. Join us as we navigate love's second act.
Wow.
Welcome back to the Kizmet podcast. I'm Kiz, and this is where we explore the complex and often transformative journey of individuals and families navigating the aftermath of long-term relationship breakdowns. The impact of such events resonates deeply with not only the separating couple, but also ripples through their children, extended families, friends, and even acquaintances. Today, I'm delighted to have a dear friend, Nicole, joining us. Nicole has been a close part of my family's journey, witnessing our transformation before and after our separation. In addition to discussing our meaningful friendship, we'll delve into Nicole's professional expertise as a specialised home mover and stylist. She's often worked with families undergoing changes after the breakdown of long-term marriages or relationships. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Let's jump right in and explore some of the experiences you've had in helping families during these significant life transitions. Let's start by getting you to tell us a little bit about your background and your experience as a specialised home mover.
Background, 15 years of being involved in probably one of the most stressful times in people's lives, being moving, right up there with divorce, right up there with death, and it is unbelievable how you, as somebody that does it every day, just can't believe that every day you turn up to work and you are dealing with that high level of stress. So it was an interesting journey of 15 years, over 2,000 houses. So it was a lot of houses at the end. And then you can imagine through that was, some of them were multiple moves and some of them were...
What do you mean by multiple moves?
We would move people many times in that time.
Right.
So it could be 8 moves for that one person. So that was very... So
heaven forbid.
I know, right? But getting involved in their lives on top of everything else, it wasn't just about the house and the move. It then becomes about, obviously, the people and the persons that you're dealing with.
And why is that?
I guess, I don't know whether it's because it's me. As a character, as my personality, I tend to get involved in a little bit more than what most people would, might go a little bit deeper than some. It's a little bit more of a bespoke service as well, so it kind of calls for that level of detail, and with that level of detail comes a certain intimacy into people's lives as well. So you just tend to get heavily involved, sometimes like it or not, you know. Sometimes you're with somebody 8 hours in the day, and then that day might then go for, you know, you might then have a week with them. And they just tend to tell you things. You're seeing their underpants, so you're seeing their very private parts of their lives, so they just tend to share. And so you got involved.
Yeah, a lot of trust involved, having basically a stranger, which you would be normally from the outset, coming into your home, and you just mentioned underwear drawer, like rattling around people's bedrooms and wardrobes. And I can imagine there'd be all kinds of emotions. Some people might feel shame that things aren't clean enough, or other people might feel proud or don't let go. I know decluttering was part of you know, when you're moving somebody. So tell us about the things that you saw and what people might not let go of or wanted to let go of.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many parts to it. It's also, I guess, understanding how they live was one thing I had to get my head around, because not everybody lives to your standard necessarily. Other people's standards are much, much higher. Some are much, much less. So it was about understanding how they wanted to live, and that was something that took me quite a long time to learn and understand, because I just wanted everyone to live the way I do. So that was cruel, because, of course, I had to adjust my expectations. So once I had that understanding, and then you would they would involve you in how they wanted things done, and then you would share your knowledge. And as obviously I did it many, many, many times, it started to become a little bit less of that and more towards you do your expertise. You're the one that I've hired. You're the one that I'm trusting. And that happened over time. What did I see? I don't think there was anything I didn't see, to tell you the truth. I don't think you could do 2,000 houses and not see something. Really, we saw everything that I became so immune to it that now and then I would see something and I'd be like,
Can you give us a thought along those lines?
If we're diving in, we're going into look, I think that one thing that when we started, we'd hear a box that might start to vibrate at the bottom, and
I'm thinking, hopefully, this is a master bedroom.
It was definitely a master bedroom. Well, we did one the other day. I'm just trying to think. We did one the other day, and the box started rattling, and we all just went, "Oh, don't worry about it." She goes, "No, I don't have anything like that." And we were like, "Oh, no, it's fine." She was, "No. And I ended up being some other
toothbrush?
Gadget. Yeah, like it was something really funny.
Blender.
We were all like, "It's okay. We all have one." And she's like, No, but I don't. Like, I really don't have one.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Somebody actually does it?
Yeah. So at first, I guess we would find one or two things that might rattle in a box, and then we'd find suitcases full, and then we'd have drawers that were full, and then it would be, and that's with everything. That's dress ups and from the people that you would least expect it. Not that there's a type necessarily, but you just kind of think you know, and then you don't.
So quiet ones you have to worry about. Is that what you're trying to get?
We really do. One time we were looking at this house, and I tell you that you would never have expected it. And then there was this one box that was it was opened in the corner of the room, and the guy said, "Oh, we'll do that one," sort of thing. And then one of the girls didn't hear that, as you wouldn't, because there's up to 8 to 10 people on a job, and the girl just walked in and started taking stuff out, and it was literally those. Oh, I'm not going to get this right. They're like the leather masks that go on. Mm-hmm. Yes, and the chains and the handcuffs, and a thing that has to be attached to the ceiling, and
so some BDSM.
Total. So that was. And
when you would find something like that, or one of your workers would, I mean, was there a regular way that people would respond? Would there be shame, or like, oh, don't touch that, or embarrassment, or people
once maybe, and then we'd be sort of like, oh, guys, don't worry about it, or something. But then, no. Normally, it was done with firstly, discretion was a huge part of what we did, and I certainly would never repeat as the persons, but. Discretion was huge. No, I mean, the thing is also there was a bunch of women, mostly middle-aged, all experienced, or mostly married or been married, with teenage kids kind of. So, sex and change body, everything to do with it was all at the forefront of everyone's mind as we're going through it again with our teenagers. So I don't know if I'd ever say shame. I'd maybe say kind of a little bit of embarrassment, maybe.
But
depending on the quantity
and the type.
And the type, yeah. And that was a lot. A lot.
Yeah, it sounds like, your group, your team of girls were really good at normalising things for people too. Yeah. And I really want to acknowledge what you were saying, that moving is such a stressful time. I don't know how you did that every day.
No, I don't either.
Just thinking of moving once a year or once every few years, to have a team like you come in and organise literally every knife and fork, every vibrating box, all the underwear, and to move it into a new home in an even better way is completely remarkable. And I imagine with more than 2,000 homes being moved, that some of those homes were for families who were the parents were separating. And so was that something that you experienced very much of?
Yeah, a lot. And again, let's go back to the beginning where I was saying, we've moved people many times. Often we'd move a family and maybe fast forward 5 years, we'd be separating them.
Oh.
And I get chills just saying it, I have to say, because it's not nice.
Yeah.
And again, going back, you are involved. You know the family. You know the children. I get upset thinking about it, actually. I'm thinking about a few. And it's tricky and it's difficult. And sometimes it's for the better, but often they are, they're traumatised, especially while it's happening. And they're having to navigate each other, the move, dividing up their possessions, navigating the kids. We're often setting up rooms, especially, and I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but especially for the male, for the husband, we're setting up rooms that the kids are only going to be at rarely. So we're setting up a sort of a 80-20 kind of situation where 20% of their stuff is at the dad's and then 80% is at the mum's. We've done that several times. And as mothers, we would want to kind of replicate a room or a space so that the kid would feel as comfortable, the child would feel as comfortable at the dad's place. And then we'd do the other side. So we were seeing both moves and completing both moves, separating crockery, cutlery. We'd be at houses where we'd turn up and the husband had already taken their stuff. Sounds familiar to you, but it happens and it happens a lot, and it happened my most recent one, and that was very hurtful because he was already with somebody else. And so he kind of took what he...
So he was kind of the instigator of the breakdown, and he not only was the instigator of the family breakdown, but then took all the possessions in the home.
Yeah, literally, like all the good stuff as well.
Yeah.
And left her with the, and it's funny, so.
How did you manage that situation? Because you obviously, maybe not so obvious, like did you have a relationship with?
Not with him, only with her. And she was through a friend of mine, and she also hadn't worked through their entire marriage. So it was 15 years of not working and then having to go and get a job, a career, she had a career before, gave it up to have children, and then had to go and find a career. She had to do everything, and he was very much the sort of husband that did everything. She never paid a bill. She never did anything. So when it came to him leaving, she didn't know which way was up.
And how do you navigate that?
Obviously, you can't help but feel relatable to it because I am married and I have got children, and you would hate for it to happen to you and the people that you love around you. Obviously, there's so much empathy there, but and like I did mention before, sometimes it's for the better. Not all women are great, and not all men are great, and I think some men are real. Some stories that I have, they're real assholes. So she's kind of better off without him, but at the time you're just like, I don't know. Look, as you know me, I'm all in. So I was all in.
I think, especially at the beginning, which is when you're there really at the crucible of all the change. There's divorce lawyers are seeing it, but they're seeing it in an office environment. You're seeing the home environment completely exposed. And one of the points I keep liking to make is that it is terrible right at the beginning. You're seeing it at the worst part, but there is recovery. And have you gone back and moved homes? Have you gone back and seen the ways that different husband and wives are living down the track if you've gone into?
Many separations, but then many repartnering.
Right.
Many. And some of them wonderful, fabulous. Actually just got a phone call recently, like a month ago, of somebody that we've moved. We would have been up to about her fourth move. And I happen to have moved the guy that she is now with.
Oh, so you knew them separately.
Separately. His wife had passed away.
Oh.
many years ago, and she was moving, and she had met him, and now they have repartnered, and they are together, and they're moving forward. And she rang to tell me, and obviously, can we help with the move? So
wow, that's great. Out of devastation, you don't know where it's going to go at the beginning. It feels like the end of the world.
Yeah,
but I love that. There's hope, and you've seen that many, many times.
Many times. Yeah, many times. Yeah, it's lovely.
And I think you've also gone into the homes of people who are newly separated and moving through into recovery. I'm not quite sure that's the right word because it sounds like an addiction. But
Yeah.
But I'm moving through the process of being single again. And so you go into men and women's homes who are newly single. What are the differences? What do you see?
It's funny, men are less possession focused when it comes to the day-to-day. This is going to shock everybody, but literally men care about the TV.
How big is it?
Yeah. So there's always a new one that's being put in. I don't even need to speak to them. I already know that that's what's happening. So the IT guy that's going to come to set up the new TV, I get it. What day is he coming? Like I don't even need to. So there's the new TV. There's a stereo or stereo systems. There's always something to do with the car being something that they need.
Too big, too small, have to have a garage.
Yeah, exactly. This is where it's going to go. Make sure that whatever's going in the garage has enough room for the car, like whatever it might be.
And the TV.
Yeah, they're very basic. Often it's a time to get new linen and towels, and often they have no idea what to get. And I've done that many times. So
what do you see? I know I'm interrupting here, but what do you see if you go in, as a generalisation?
Yeah, so obviously being married for 20, how many years have I been married? 22, 3?
Long time.
Yeah. I recently got pink sheets. I guarantee you if we were to separate, those pink sheets wouldn't be coming. With going with him, they'd be coming with me. I think that happens a lot. So you hear them say, I just don't want any of those things. Like I don't want
pink.
No pink. I want
fluffy.
no flowers. I want,
oh, really?
Yeah, I want no pink, no flowers. I want very basic. Just get me white fluffy towels. It's so funny. It's like they've always wanted a say and then they're actually getting a say. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But they also want guidance.
And I wonder if part of that wanting the guidance is the decisions that I would make autonomously, decisions that would repel a woman.
Exactly.
Is that kind of like you're coming in to say like, okay, well, don't get the brown sheets necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. If we're going to get a colour, it's going to be light grey or light blue or white. And
that's loaded. I probably put that thought into your head.
No, because it's funny because I guess they would look at me as a potential woman of the same age that they might be going after, somebody that they've already got a relationship or a connection with through work. So that's kind of, always a good start. What would you do? What have you seen? What do most men have? What would most men have? That sort of thing. So there has been many of those, and they're great fun because obviously I can get to take over and do it all for them. And it's funny though because then so they're sort of snatch and grabbing at those sort of things, whereas the women tend to be a lot more on the emotional side, and they've kept the crockery that their grandmother have given them, and the things that are important, all the photo albums and the keepsake boxes that the kids have got from their school. And I don't think I've ever heard a guy say that ever. Like,
give me the keepsake box.
So terrible. It's so cliche, but I sound terrible. But yeah, like I don't think they've gone to that detail. They just want to get, and the wine. They might want there's certain wines and whiskies. TVs, car, wine, whiskies, yeah.
Okay.
That sort of thing. I'm saying it because it's true, not because, and I'm not saying that every single client is like that, but
it's a commonality.
It is a commonality without sounding horrible.
And so
I think my husband would be exactly the same.
Are you able to separate your emotions from clients going through this kind of breakdown?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's how often you do something, you do get used to it. At the beginning, it was often harder. I remember doing a house where the husband had called me, and he was very dogmatic about the move. He was the one that was organising everything and paying for everything, and just the way he was dealing with it. And I didn't know the wife very well. And it was hard. It was at the beginning. It was very hard. And
so he kind of, so I'm clear on this, he contracted you to
me.
Be on his side and do what he said.
Yes, and what he said, and to give her what he told me to give her. And it was done in a very ruthless fashion. 3 or 4 children, I think there were. And it was very early days in my business as well. And he had got me through his parents, and so there was that connection. And it was hard. It was hard at the beginning, definitely. As we did more and more of them, and it was a massive percentage of our work, obviously you had to separate it. You wouldn't get the work done. You could get a little bit, and I say this in the nicest possible way, but bogged down in the detail and of what was going on. And obviously there's some pretty fired up words that are happening, and there's some information that you're hearing that you probably shouldn't necessarily be hearing. So you just need to stay super professional and just try and focus on the end goal, and that's to get the job done to the best of if you're
sure. And in that instance where you're talking about the husband employed you, he was really dogmatic and very sure about thinking that you would probably be on his side.
Yeah.
Did you have an interaction with the wife in that situation?
We did then. So we did him, and then did the separation, and then the next day we were instructed to go to her place to then unpack and organise her space that he townhouse that he'd organised for her, and how we set it up. And she basically had no say in the matter. She didn't know what she was getting. She didn't know what was coming out of the boxes. She didn't know. Maybe the only thing she knew about was her stuff. And I say that from the clothes that she had. But otherwise, no, it was all dictated by him.
Oh, my goodness, which kind of
does
makes me think about kind of what happened in my situation.
Correct.
Where I was overseas dropping my daughter off at university for her first year, and I started receiving phone calls in the middle of the night. I remember the flashbulb moment, exactly where I was, saying there's removal trucks that have arrived at your home and everything's being put into the back of the van. And you at that point had been the only person that had moved us. So first of all, I was like, who's doing this?
Yeah, that's right.
And I think you ended up finding out who it was. It was
someone that I had trained and somebody that I'd actually taught how to do the job. So they knew exactly what to do, and the way it was documented and the way it was, instigated. It was the whole thing was done
as if
I had done it literally.
Boo.
Yeah. And knowing your ex, like some of the stuff that he got, like really, like did he even know where it was?
Well,
or
the wine.
The wine certainly did go, didn't it? And the TVs.
And the TVs.
And the big
and
TVs.
the cars. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So there you go.
To absolute,
absolutely.
Form.
Yeah. That. And then I now think about it, I had another client, exactly the same thing. Driving past, her friends were driving past and said she was overseas, and they said, there are some trucks in your driveway. You need to get home. We were there for that as well. The next day we were.
And was there anything left?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Her clothes.
Yeah.
Her clothes and some very, very little left. Very little left. That was so sad. We had moved them in as well.
Oh.
That was sad.
Yeah. I think really similar situation. To us, where you'd moved us in, and then that happened and the house was gutted. And I remember I came back from overseas and you had been into the house and seen what was left, which wasn't very much. And I remember really clearly you meeting me at the side entrance gate and giving me a hug and like really worried. You're like, prepare yourself.
Are you ready for this? I think I said, Are you ready for this? Yeah.
And I think
not
I
a good
do remember
feeling.
it wasn't. And I think it might have even been worse for you because I'd been overseas, we'd been separated for a long time, and we hadn't done a financial settlement. We certainly hadn't discussed anything about the house division. And I think at that point we were both still classified as still living there. And but I remember when I was travelling and had dropped Gabby off at uni amongst all of this trauma, it was a bit down the track in our separation, and I'd met somebody that I really liked, a guy. So you were like, "Are you ready for this?" And I was like, "I'm so distracted."
Fine. I was like, "You just stay in cloud nine for a little bit, and I'll just carry on."
And you just kind of took me through the house and took out, like, I think the 2 plants that were left.
Yeah, exactly. We had a few white bowls, actually. There was a few white bowls. I remember quite a few coming with us. But and look, just to reiterate on that, I don't think that's good for anybody, and I don't think as to fuel any fire within a divorce, within a separation, would be a good thing to do. So I don't think I could play that game.
Have you gone back into guys' homes that you've set up when they're going into singlehood after a long-term relationship? Have you gone back and rejudged?
I don't know what it is, or you know me, but there's quite a few that I've actually stayed in contact with, and that's always fun to go back and hear where they're at and see what they still need and
is there a common thing that they might need down the track?
Interesting. No, I wouldn't really say a common thing. More, I probably need you to come and organise it again. That might be the only thing. But no, they managed to maintain it.
And is that the same? It's probably because you set them up so well to begin with. It's like with labels.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And then what about the wives who've been out on their own for a while? Do you often go back and help in a same way or different way?
Yeah, again, there's a consistency of often they've gone into a rental and then things have gone, the settlements and things like that have happened. So then we're moving them a year later, 18 months later, into a home that they've either purchased or have been sorted out within their settlement. So again, it's that's a different kind of move. That's an exciting move. There's less trauma. There's more hope for the future. There's excitement around the new house that they've bought, often themselves, and they may have even renovated it a bit, or they're going to renovate it. So that's a little bit of a different feeling, and we'll go back and say, oh gosh, remember when we last saw you, and they've just come this far. So
which is great,
so good,
because it feels like the end of the world
really
as it's happening.
Absolutely,
and it certainly felt like the end of the world for me. And you went through that with me. And you knew our family really well when we were living together as a family, and kind of segueing from moving, because you've moved me and you moved our family a number of times, but you also moved me and saw me go through that process where I was completely kind of broken at the beginning.
Sure.
And then there
into
was
the rental.
hope. Exactly, into a rental.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the important things, and, you're very dear to me and you've helped me through that process, you also knowing the whole family, relationship breakdown at a later age in life affects everyone, the kids, the couple, the extended family and their friends. I mean, even to your job, tradesmen, like who gets custody of the tradesmen?
Absolutely.
So, and then the tradesmen are like, well, I've always spoken to your wife, or I've always spoken to your husband.
That's right.
We don't really have a relationship.
Yeah.
So it affects everyone. So as a friend, I'd really like to hear the effect on you and your family, because we're all friends and friendly together as a family, how it was for you to witness that, and what effect there was on you. What could I have maybe done differently?
Yeah, I guess the first lesson that I learned was pick a side. You can't have both.
Really?
That was a big thing for me. Not that there was ever a question.
Yeah, but you did maintain contact.
Kind of. There was contact, definitely contact. So I wouldn't call that a side, but there was definitely contact. I would have liked to have been a bit more amicable at the time because of the kids. So you kind of want to be the adult, knowing that you've got a relationship with the kids that are also his. So that was probably one of the biggest lessons that I learned from various people in your life and various people in his life who didn't pick a side. And I saw that consistently through other relationships that I've been involved with through work. Yours was a different situation. And I don't know if we're going to go into that sort of detail, but it was so sudden.
Yeah.
And I remembered being quite shocked. As we've said, I was very involved in all sides, including the kids.
Yeah.
So it was quite shocking.
I think, that's one of the greatest losses I felt when my marriage broke down, was that I didn't have a partner to call about the children, because you two, the parents are obviously the people that care the most about the children, and I didn't have that. And so I really relied on my friends. I relied on you and a couple of other very close friends to support me through that. Am I making the right decision? Am I, being too harsh, or am I being too checked out? And I think for me, the friends and my daughter went to live over in college overseas, and any special event, I would take a friend as a pseudo kind of dad. And without my friends, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I don't know that. I mean, look, you get through, but I think just thank you. I think friendship.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I really want to say in this space is, if you are going through a marital breakdown and you don't have a great close group of friends, you are not alone. There are coaches, there are people, you're not alone. And if you can think through your entire life, friends are so important, and they will pick up the pieces and will support you through this really, really difficult time. I can't say enough.
Absolutely.
On the next episode of Kizmet.
All he used to whinge about all the time is his life would be so much better if he could be blown every day.
Don't miss an episode. Hit subscribe where you're getting this. Follow our socials and ask any questions on my new website, where we're building for like-minded people wanting to reconnect.